Well, good morning. Behind me you'll see on the ground a blue tarp. I think it's one that my family bought 4 or 5 years ago. I'm in a place in the woods just off Memorial Park in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Gotta watch where I step here, it's a little messy. It's in a floodplain of the Manatawny Creek. If I look around me, there's lots of trash. There's a sleeping bag in the brush behind me, as you can see. This used to be a place called Tent City. That was the name that the folks who lived here gave it. They had a sign, actually, as you walked into this little section of woods between the Little League fields and the Walmart shopping center off Route 100. And the sign welcomed you to Tent City. A friend of mine at the Chestmont Church named Andy found out about Tent City and was passionate about finding it. Wasn't sure where it was. He'd heard it was down along the Schuylkill River, so I had gone on a run down that way and was looking to find Tent City. Andy had a passion for finding Tent City because Andy has a passion for people. A passion that I thought I had, but Andy had it far stronger than me. So Andy spent some weekends searching the Pottstown area for a patch of woods where he could find that community of homeless people who needed to be loved. Well, after several searches, he finally found it here, in this patch of woods. It wasn't so much a city. At that time, I think all that was left was 3 folks. Derek, Kat, and a brother named Russell. I say a brother named Russell because Russell is now a brother in Christ. I was privileged to be at his baptism a few years ago. Yeah, Andy led by example. We're in the middle of a series on discipleship, and this is the second lesson in that series as we look at what it is to be devoted together as God's people. You know, there's lots of ways to disciple. I do the easy work. I stand up and I teach. Watch these rocks here. I stand up and I teach on Sundays. That's the easy part. What Andy's always done as a mentor for me is to lead by example, by going and doing, and inspiring others to follow in his steps. Now, I know Andy wouldn't like this video. In fact, if he sees it, he's not going to be happy with me. But the fact is, Andy was one of the key disciplers in my life. What Andy did is he followed in the footsteps of Jesus, right to where Jesus would go if he were hanging out in Pottstown, right to the so-called least of these. And he brought a whole church with him. I recall the time I came back here with my family, came back with my kids to try to find the folks who lived here. And we found Derek and Kat and Russell, and they were super friendly. They'd set up a really quite comfortable arrangement back here in the woods. And we talked to them about what they might need to make it more comfortable. And my kids wanted to go to Walmart and buy some things for them. So the kids spent their money on a cooler, and we got them some nice big tarps so they could create a drier space to cover all of their belongings. And that blue tarp back there looks like the one that we purchased. Has a little bit of my old rope on it. And my kids got discipled because Andy set us an example. We followed in his steps as he followed Christ, and then we brought our kids along with us. It's one of those microcosms in my life that reminds me what the church is all about. We're going to continue to talk about discipling this Sunday. Then in our Sunday school classes, we're starting a new and exciting series on God's faithfulness, looking at his promises, specifically looking at the life of the people of Israel as they made their way to the Promised Land. And then on Sunday in our youth class, they'll be studying the same topic, only with applications very relevant to the youth. Then in our Sunday school classes, all of our elementary age kids are going to begin studying the book of Acts. Going to be an exciting day looking at Christ's ascension, and Luke as a storyteller of what happened in the early days of our church. In children's worship, while all the adults are hearing my sermon, they'll be taking a look at what the second greatest commandment is, to love your neighbor as yourself. I hope that we'll see you at church this Sunday at the King of Prussia Church of Christ.